everybody, my name is Coen from the Fellowship Auctions and welcome to a new episode. On this episode we're going to present you something very nice. For a loyal following, you've probably seen that we recently made a video about the Dutch Archtop Museum, and we have the privilege that we can auction this whole collection. The history of Epiphone is very interesting. It's filled with gaps and puzzles, and unlike manufacturers like Martin and Gibson, Epiphone didn't have any existing ledgers anymore. Like, nobody knows where they are, if they still existing, or that they burned down at one point in time. And that's so cool about Epiphone, because it almost gives these guitars a legendary status. So the history of Epiphone archtops begins in 1931, and it starts with 7 archtops. And these 7 archtops, forgive me, are the Blackstone, the Broadway, the Deluxe, Olympic, Royal Triumph and Zenith. And these guitars, these 2 Emperors, they are not from the start, they were made later, because they introduced a few more models later in the 1930s and 40s. So let's start with these beautiful Emperor. The Emperor was their top of the line. This was the one-on-one competitor from the Gibson Super 400, and it's a big, majestic archtop. So like I said, it's a big archtop. It's over 18 inch, and back in the days, this guitar was priced exactly the same as the Super 400s, $400. And $400 in that time was a lot of money. And still people loved these beautiful archtops. And we got 2 examples here. So this one is from 1935, and then we'll take you over to 1939 over here. Alright, so right now we're in 1939. World War II starts in this year, and jazz and swing music is at their peak. Also, they introduced a blonde version of the Emperor. And actually this was not a blonde version, and that's really cool about this one, because first you think, oh cool, it must be 1939, which it is, because it's blonde. But if you see the back here, and if we can get a close-up, you see that the back is actually made of 4 pieces. They use sunburst guitars to cover up any inconsistencies in the wood. So they use the better woods on the natural versions. So these archtops are fantastic, and they remained the top of the line until the mid-50s, when the company was eventually taken over by Gibson and CMI. Let's listen to them. So the next guitar is not as fancy as the Emperor. It's a 1946 Epiphone Spartan. And I think this guitar really represents its time. It's sober, it's post-war, and it's just a very functional instrument. So originally the Spartan was introduced as a direct competitor to the Gibson L4. And the L4, just like the Spartan, had a round hole, which they later changed to F-holes, like on this beautiful little archtop. And what's really cool is it's a very rare guitar, because even though 1100 are made, only 105 are registered, and this is one of them. The next guitar we're going to have a look at is a very interesting one, because I told you we would only do Epiphones, but I made a little lie, because this headstock actually says Sorrentino. And Sorrentino is a very interesting brand because it was also made by Epiphone in the 1930s together with Howard. That were the two brands that they made under their own OEM production. And the cool thing with Sorrentino is that apparently they made mandolins, even though not a single one in existence can be found. So if you have ever found, or if you have a Sorrentino mandolin in your house somewhere, then let us know. That's very cool. All right, back to the guitar. This is a 1933 Evan, and the whole Sorrentino line was an equivalent to Epiphone. So all the models they made were very similar to what Epiphone builds, but they are much rarer to find, even more rare than Epiphone. If you want to learn a bit more about Sorrentino, for instance, or Epiphone in general, we've made a very cool video about the whole collection. So that was it for this week's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. We've got many more Epiphones, so if you want to stay up to date, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you want to see what the current bits are, then check out the website. I hope to see you in the next one. Just yes, next week more Epiphones.